Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. The Myth of Sisyphus was originally written in French under the name La Méthode de Sisyphe in 1942, the philosophical work by Albert Camus. Camus introduces his philosophy of the absurd here. He compares the absurdity of man's life with the situation of Sisyphus, who is a figure in Greek mythology. Sisyphus was condemned to repeat forever the same meaningless task of pushing a boulder up a mountain, only to see it roll down again just as it nears the top. The English translation was done by Justin O'Brien, and the essay is dedicated to Pascal Paya and is organized in 4 chapters and one appendix. Chapter 1, An Absurd Reasoning. Camus undertakes the task of answering what he considers to be the only question of philosophy that matters. That is, does the realization of the meaninglessness and absurdity of life necessarily require suicide? He begins by describing the following absurd condition. He says, we build our life on the hope for tomorrow. But tomorrow brings us closer to death and is the ultimate enemy. People live their lives as if they were not aware of the certainty of death. Once stripped of its common romanticism, the world is a foreign, strange, and inhuman place. True knowledge is impossible, and rationality and science cannot explain the world. Their stories ultimately end in meaningless abstractions in metaphors. It is not the world that is absurd nor human thought. The absurd arises when the human need to understand meets the unreasonableness of the world. He then characterizes several philosophies that describe an attempt to deal with this feeling of the absurd by Martin Heidegger, Karl Jaspers, Lev Tolstoy, Soren Kierkegaard, and Edmund Husserl. Camus, taking the absurd seriously, acknowledges the contradiction between the desire of human reason and the unreasonable world. While the question of human freedom loses interest to the absurd man, he gains freedom. No longer bound by hope for a better future or eternity, without a need to pursue life's purpose or to create meaning. To embrace the absurd implies embracing all that the unreasonable world has to offer. Thus, Camus arrives at 3 consequences from fully acknowledging the absurd: revolt, freedom, and passion. Chapter 2, The Absurd Man. How should the absurd man live? Camus presents examples of the absurd life. He begins with Don Juan, the serial seducer who lives a passionate life to the fullest. The next example is the actor who depicts ephemeral lives for ephemeral fame. Camus's third example of the absurd man is the conqueror, that is, the warrior, who chooses action over contemplation, aware of the fact that nothing can last and no victory is final. Chapter 3, Absurd Creation. Here Camus explores the absurd creator or artist. Since explanation is impossible, absurd art is restricted to a description of the myriad experiences in the world. He then analyzes the work of Fyodor Dostoevsky, especially the Diary of a Writer, The Possessed, and the Brothers Karamazov. All these works start from the absurd position, and the first two explore the theme of philosophical suicide. However, both the diary and his last novel, The Brothers Karamazov, ultimately finds a path to hope and faith and thus fail as truly absurd creations. Chapter 4, The Myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus by Titian, 1549. In the last chapter, Camus outlines the legend of Sisyphus, who defied the gods and put death in chains so that no human needed to die. When death was eventually liberated and it came time for Sisyphus himself to die, he concocted a deceit which let him escape from the underworld. After finally capturing Sisyphus, the gods decided that his punishment would last for all eternity. He would have to push a rock up a mountain. Upon reaching the top, the rock would roll down again, leaving Sisyphus to start over. Camus sees Sisyphus as the absurd hero who lives life to the fullest, hates death, and is condemned to a meaningless task. Camus presents Sisyphus' ceaselessness and pointless toil as a metaphor for modern lives, spending working at futile jobs in factories and offices. Camus is interested in Sisyphus' thoughts when marching down the mountain to start anew. After the stone falls back down the mountain, Camus states that it is during that return, that pause, that Sisyphus interests me. A face that toils so close to stones is already stone itself. I see that man going back down with a heavy yet measured step toward the torment of which he will never know the end. This is the truly tragic moment when the hero becomes conscious of his wretched condition. He does not have hope, but there is no fate that cannot be surmounted by scorn. Acknowledging the truth will conquer it. Sisyphus, just like the absurd man, continues pushing. Camus claims that when Sisyphus acknowledges the futility of his task and the certainty of his fate, he is free to realize the absurdity of his situation and to reach a state of contented acceptance. With a nod to the similarly accused Greek hero Oedipus, Camus concludes that all is well, continuing, one must imagine Sisyphus happy. And here ends the book. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box, like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.